J.Beau, an almost daily walking vlog. Today we're going to walk a route. For the most part, we have not walked yet at all, ever, in Lewiston, Maine. Lewiston, Maine here is an old mill town. Most of its wealth created in the 1800s. We became a state in the 1870s. City, I mean, officially. But we had been part of Massachusetts long before that. We were actually Massachusetts here, which I'm glad we no longer are, because Massachusetts is filled with a bunch of communists. Maine still has a pulse. So, the selfie stick I'm using today is the same one I've been using, but it finally broke. And I duct taped all the sections together, so I have a long selfie stick that's permanent, which is kind of good because then I can lift it up like this and take a look-see around. Maybe it'll give a different perspective if it doesn't rattle too much. Also, I want to mention President Trump is in Texas today, overseeing what's going on with the flooding and the repairs that are going to be needed in people's lives, as well as businesses and everything else. So the sun has just decided to come out after being cloudy all day, so that always makes for nice video. And down here is what's called Simard Park. We came down here before in the winter time. If you remember, the river down here had ice on it. And that video should still be available, I think. I'm definitely feeling the sun right now, and it was a wise choice to wear a light colored t-shirt, which you'll see at some point here. So anyway, the Simard Park was Officer Simard, killed in the line of duty in the 80s. And this park was named after him. You can see people down there having a nice picnic, which is nice. And we're going to cross the river and go into Auburn. Should be an interesting walk. We have come this way before. There's usually more water flowing than that. Things are kind of dry right now. I just wanted to get a shot over here so you could see. This is why I was telling you I wanted to see if I could get a kayak at some point, because you can launch from the boat launches here. And it's just an exercise thing down this way, and not too much to see there. There is a public restroom. I do have to use that. Afraid to see what it looks like down here. And he won't be going in there with me, obviously. But when we come out, we're going to backtrack this way, and we're going to walk to Auburn. Follow this up here, it goes to a car wash. So I am happy to see the city putting some public restrooms up, because those were needed. And that's the problem with going to places like this. And you have people like me that drank too much coffee. And we've seen this exercise thing here before that they built. It doesn't look like it's used very much. And it really doesn't. The handles on these aren't worn. It's been here for almost 2 years now, and nobody uses it, quite honestly. At least it doesn't look worn. So anyway, I'll be right out in a moment. Well, I survived that. Goodness, that was horrible. That one is full. I'm not going to describe to you what I saw when I looked down in the hole, but you can just imagine. The other one that I stop at a few miles from here on my regular walks was much better than that. So we're going to head down here. We'll head down this way. Hi. So we're gonna finish walking around this park, and we have crossed this pedestrian crossing before. Down this way. Now they don't have, as you can see, they have a little wharf here with a boat launch. So we get some ducks down there on it, and you can actually go bring a kayak. It's a boat launch, and this river here is pretty traversable for a long way without rough water. And you can go all the way up there and look at the waterfalls, which are very dry today. We haven't had much rain. So we'll walk down the ramp here. I think that's a good shot we got here, but you can see how you can put like a canoe in there, I guess, launch it from there, park it from there. Kind kind of a cool little dock. You can see how it all pieces together. It's got these corner braces in here to hold everything together. And well, there you go. It goes right to land. So I'm out here on the water. Pretty cool. And it would actually be a nice day to go out on a kayak today. There's no wind, the water's calm. So I was telling you guys I was going to start doing different kinds of walks, and the thing with a walk like this is I don't get as good a physical workout because I'm stopping and looking at everything. So I'll get the duck down there in the water. Kind of weird. It was kind of an illusion walking on that dock because the water was wind rippling this way, and you know that it's not moving, but because the water was rippling, it felt like you were moving. It's very strange. Now over here we have a homeless cart. Somebody homeless there, almost passed out, and looks like her ass is up in the air. See that? Probably took some drugs. And you know, police have a hard time here because you got all these things here with benches, and then you have these little cubby holes in the woods, and I can see somebody's been eating in there, probably living in there. So there is a homeless problem here. So we're gonna go finish our walk. Now I'm going to get some shots down here, but I don't want to walk all the way across because I actually want to go to the left because we haven't gone that way yet. There's a bridge over there. And we'll get somebody here with a yellow vest working on something, it looks like. But this is an old train trestle crossing. This was a railway crossing they had in the 1800s. We were just way down there. Somebody working here, they had themselves tethered in case they slipped and fell. They got hard hats. So over here, Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? Hey Nate, you want shades? No.
Oh, these workers are working on that. We're going to head back this way because we're going to walk down. We're going to go around and we're going to go across that bridge down there, and then we're going to take a walk into Auburn. And hopefully you'll come with me and enjoy it. I gotta tell you, that restroom I just used was probably the worst one I've ever been in. I might end up getting some pretty nice shots with this selfie stick. Well, it looks like some kind of construction's going on down here. I don't know what they're making. They're turning an old building into something new. Now that big brick building in the background there, that was part of a big Civil War production boom. This was a textile industry town. Big textile mills. So a lot of these brick buildings was used during the Civil War to make textiles that they needed. Things like canvas for tents, uniforms, blankets, all kinds of things. And during the Civil War, this was in high gear. And this was all the stuff that they didn't have down south. And that resulted in the South losing, basically. And a big reason why they lost. They could not keep up. They had the material used in textiles, like cotton, wool, and stuff like that. But we ended up getting that elsewhere. So we get 24-hour video surveillance here, which is nice. I'm not sure how accurate that depiction is. Pretty easy to put up a sign saying that, right? So we're going to take a walk down this way, walk into Auburn. And I forgot to start my walking app, so I don't know how far I've walked. So I'll have to do a manual entry. I already know from my calculations from Google Maps this is going to be about between 5 and 6 miles. No big deal. Hi, how are you? So we are going to walk down here, head down to going to Auburn. housing projects here. This part of town here is poor. A lot of it. It was poor when I was a kid. This wasn't my neighborhood per se, but my older relatives that are long gone now, they lived down here. My mother lived down here for a while with her sisters and other mill workers who worked in these mills. So that's quite the racket, isn't it? That's quite the racket. You own a mill and you build these apartment buildings, and then the people that you're paying to work in your mills, you're getting a lot of your money back in rent. So that's the way things used to be done. So this is the Franco-American, it's called the Franco Center. It was a Catholic church, as you can see, for the longest time. Catholic church losing money, largely because of the Catholic Church, not because of a lack of faith. Other churches around here are doing very well. So what happened is the church was bought by the city, the property, and now it is a Franco Center where they have a lot of woke activities. They had a drag queen story time here. They've had Franco-American cultural activities, music, and so they got a little bit of everything. But you can see there's a lot of traffic today. Now this park across the street, I used to work at this park years ago when I was in my 20s, and we used to do the breakfast program down here for kids. We hand out those breakfasts. So I thought that was interesting because when I grew up in a different neighborhood not far from here, we were poor and we had the breakfast program and we played in the park. I was actually one of the people that was paid working for the city to do the lunch programs for kids. And I got paid to play kickball and basketball all day. And then at night, the other part of my job was being a lifeguard for the city at the city pool around the corner. So I just thought I'd come walk down here and see what's shaking. Now when we were kids, teenagers, underage, we used to cross the top of this bridge, if you can believe that. Absolutely nothing I would do today or even contemplate, but you can see how this angles upwards and you have these rivets. So these rivets actually make like little steps you can put your sneakers in, especially when you have smaller feet and you're a lighter teenager. So this is the Bernard Lone Peace Bridge, it's called. When we were kids, it was just the Cedar Street Bridge. And so we actually walked across the top of that. Don't tell anybody. So we're going to walk across this bridge. This is the Androscoggin River, by the way. One of the rivers that was so heavily polluted when I was a kid that there was nothing living in it. And it was from the paper mills in Rumford upstream and those would have like these huge cakes of pollution that smelled so bad. It smelled just like rotten eggs, sulfur, pretty nasty. But now you really don't smell that anymore, and there's fish back in here. You can go fishing in here, but you can't eat them. And that's the story with a lot of places in Maine because of industrial pollution, mercury that is still in the bottom of rivers and doesn't go away. That's the problem with it. So you have a limit on how many fish you can eat out of lakes in Maine. Nothing caught in this river is edible, but the fish are here. It's trying to repair itself. But that is the history of the United States, industrial power, especially in New England. So that's a little Androscoggin there. And there are people that live along that, and when we have flash floods and floods, that's what floods right there. We actually, a couple winters ago, last winter I believe, we went and checked out the Barker Mill Dam that is on that river. It was in the winter time. It's actually a clip of it in the show intro. So we're going to walk into Auburn and see this little park that they built here. I've never come down to look at this park, so that's another reason why I wanted to come here. And I believe I've thought to myself plenty of times going by here in the car that it would be nice to come down here and check it out. Let's walk in here and see what's in the park. City of Auburn, auburnmaine.gov if you want to learn more. Oh look, got a big giant stone fish. I got a big fish. A big giant poisson. That's French for fish, if you didn't know. Looks like a bass. Largemouth. That largemouth bass down here. We got some benches here, some seats down here. Ooh, I got kayaks over here. I gotta see if these are rentals. What's the deal with the kayaks? Kayaks and cages. Rent fun. $15 an hour. 30 cents per minute. Download the app. So I guess download the app, make an account. Unlock, scan the QR code on the locker, remove equipment, inspect kayak, paddle, and life jacket for any damage. Enjoy your paddle. You must wear a U.S. Coast Guard approved life vest at all times. Return and lock. Return equipment to the same locker unit and select end rental in app. Do not leave valuables in lockers. And we got one that's gone. And it looks electronically locked. And you scan it so it unlocks. And you hope everything works right. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. I think maybe we'll do that at some point. Bring sunscreen and water and wear your life vest. Very cool. Alright, so I'll do a search for that. Kayak rental, Anniversary Park. And they have the phone number, which I have on video. So we will definitely be able to come down here and do a kayak rental. And then you can come down here with it. See this here? And there's a syringe cap. People do come down here and do drugs. Isn't that lovely? So anyway, come down here. This is the Little Androscoggin. It's running very low right now, like I said. Usually the water is up to here. This is usually underwater, and this is submerged in the water. So the water is very low right now. And there's a trail here. I'm afraid to look what's down here. Well, it just looks like partial trail. Somebody's been using it. Probably homeless people or something. But normally these rocks I'm walking on right now would be underwater, and if we had a flood watch, flash flooding, or they open the dam, this would fill up very quickly. So I just wanted to get some video down here and continue on our walk. I'm not going to go snoop down here too much. God knows what we'd find. But maybe sometime I'll come back. I got a lot of walking left to do. But you get the basic idea here, right? So we'll head back up this way. Kiwanis Club, Rotary Breakfast Club. So you could get on this Little Androscoggin here, and then you can go out on that bigger body of water we just saw. I don't know how easy that would be today with the water being so low. But here's another cubby hole that goes down there. That's what we were just looking at. So that's where it would have went. It would have come up here. Again, that looks like another cubby hole for nefarious purposes. I'd hate to say what gets used there. Drugs, probably prostitution. Beautiful French. Well, I like that. And I gotta admit, it's nice to have some people do a little bit of culture and something good like kayak rentals, and kind of an interesting thing. Ooh, that's a pretty nice bike. Look at that. So anyway, I'm going to turn the camera around for a minute, and getting a little wet. I want to thank you very much for walking with me today. I'm not going to be on here a whole hell of a lot for selfie, because there's a lot to look at. We're just going to walk and see what's going on. And so it's kind of nice. You can come down here and rent kayaks. I had no idea you could do that. That is interesting. I'm thinking maybe I should have grabbed a couple of life vests I had seen on a walk. They had a sign on it that said free. So anyway, we're going to continue walking, and thank you for being here today and walking with me. I hope you're enjoying the view. So anyway, my friends, I'm going to turn the camera around and we'll continue walking. I just wanted to say hello and thank you for being here. So we'll go back to the real star of the show, what we're looking at. So this is that bridge that goes across that river, and this is where those kayaks were being rented down there. This looks all pretty too shallow to be kayaking on, so we definitely would rent one down there and then head out to the main body of water. So they got American flags along the streets, which is nice. Auburn Police Department is up ahead, up a ways, up the road a piece. Also, many moons ago, I was living with a girl down around here in the late 90s. So I'm familiar with this neighborhood. And Newberry Street right here is one that, when there's flooding, floods down here from that river I was just telling you about. I lived up this way, past this Jewish synagogue. So I used to drive up this road every night after work to go home. So they have a lot of artwork here hanging, which is nice. Which somebody was kind enough to ruin. This one too. Probably scribbled on all of these. These don't look too bad. artists. Kind of interesting. Liquor store. Now in 1998 we had a natural disaster here in January. It was known as the ice storm of 98, and I lived right up the road here, and the power was out, power lines were down everywhere, the entire area was paralyzed. No power in the middle of winter. It was pretty bad. Went about 5 days with no power. And, wasn't good. Couldn't even come right down here like I used to all the time and get a coffee. They didn't have any power. They had no coffee. So down there is that trestle we crossed earlier, and you can see these homeless people going through the trash looking for empties, bottles, anything they can use. And a lot of them have drug problems, addictions, which I feel badly about. There's an epidemic here. So whenever you see people sitting on the grass across the street like that, they're homeless, transients, whatever. Because they're sitting on the grass like they're living there. They're not sitting on a park bench, which is right next to them. So we're going to walk on down this way. That building over there in the back used to be Edward Little High School, which it hasn't been for a long time. But that is another kind of a public center. Sometimes politicians come speak there, things like that. And you know, I really hate those loud motorcycle songs because you get the YouTube copyright thing, so I have to keep talking while it's on, so I don't have to hear this coming through. Blah 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 blah. And nobody is enjoying that but the guy on the motorcycle, and that's like way too loud. Phew, glad that's over with. So you can see all of this old architecture. A lot of these buildings are marked as historic, so they can't tear them down. They have to be renovated and kept the same. People do live in them. They're rented. And my older brother actually lived in that one for a while. Actually further down, that yellow one. And he lived there because his apartment building across the street here burned in the late 80s. He lost all his record collection, he lost his guitar, pretty much lost everything except their lives, thankfully. So we're gonna walk on down this way. This is an old part of town, and you can see how these buildings are all old. A lot of these were built in 1700s, 1800s. Hi.
You don't bite or anything.
That's good. That's the one my brother was in, that gray building across the street. And he used to live down here in an apartment. And they have rebuilt this building, but that had burned out. Oh look, they get the sidewalk blocked. Isn't that lovely? Now I'm gonna have to cross the street. Great Falls Construction, it says. What the hell are they doing here? Oh, that looks to me like a housing project. Housing shortages created by Joe Biden's imports. That's exactly what that is. So we're going to cut across here. So that looks like a brand new housing project. And at least they're making it look like to match the rest of everything with the bricks. So that's pretty nice. The hill here. A lot of damn noise. So that just goes up and around the same way. We're going to go straight. I just had to cross because they took my sidewalk away. I'm going to wait till these cars go by and give me a hole, which I'm not seeing. So we'll walk down this way some more. So my friends, I hope you're enjoying this walk today. Cut across the street here. Un momento. And we're going to walk across the street. We'll go over here and then we'll scoot across. We got a short little gap here to cross. So all of these old mill buildings. I don't think this here was ever a mill building, but it did belong to, you know, Main Street. This is actually Main Street in Auburn. So this used to be Main Street, and then the city expanded outward. And now they have a Walmart up there, which killed anything that was down here. And Home Depot and Lowe's. And the old mom and pop hardware stores and things like that. Lewiston has quite a few, and in Auburn they're kind of few and far in between. But during the COVID, they had protesting in this park here, and the one across, and on the bridge that we're going to walk across. So we're going to take a walk through here. Kind of an interesting setup here. City of Auburn, Maine, 1869. Lewiston is 1871, I believe. But like I said, it was part of the colonies of Massachusetts. You can look up the Missouri Purchase, the Missouri Compromise. So we got a little stage over there and some lights. We'll walk down here. There's another boat launch. So there's all kinds of boat launches down here. And people use them. I've seen people use them. So that's that trestle we were on earlier, and that's that dock I was walking on the other side of the river. And now we're on this side. Looks like we got a bag of stuff down here. Some clothing. So it looks to me like somebody was doing their laundry. There's socks in there. So that's obviously belongs to somebody that's homeless, I would hope. What I mean by that is I'd hate to think that somebody came down here and took their clothes off and took off in the water somewhere. But you can see, you know, there's definitely an issue here. It's not hard to find, and it's really unfortunate. So anyway, we're going to be crossing that bridge shortly. Head back up here. Now we could just go that way through that parking lot, but I want to record up this way. And you know, they try to do a lot of good things here. You know, this whole area right here was underwater during a flood we had not long ago. The water was just up underneath the bridge there, so this was all underwater. So looks like somebody, their shoes were immortalized. And get some bronzed shoes. Kind of artsy. So we're going to walk down this way. So they have like July 4th celebrations here because this is the area they shoot fireworks from. A lot of public protest goes on here. A lot of anti-Trumpers. And occasionally you get the pro-Trumpers. So we got lawyers' offices down here. We have a brewery, a land trust, a day spa, which looks closed. Parking 10 cents per hour. Obviously that's not accurate. Gritty Grinds Coffee Cafe, Gritty McDuff's Brew Pub. They make beer here and they sell it here. So that is the courthouse in Auburn, which has a jail in it. They're going to be opening a new jail. There's the Marriott Garden Inn, Marriott. And we're going to walk across the bridge here. Hey guys, how you doing? So, wow, look at all the ducks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. 6 ducks. Now we're crossing the river from Auburn into Lewiston, and all those rocks right there usually have torrents of water rushing over them, and not today though, because the water is dried up. There's a little bit down there, but last winter we walked across that train trestle up there. Remember, there was ice and stuff, and we came across that fence that had a whole bunch of padlocks on them. Love locks, they're called. So I attended a couple of anti-lockdown protests on this bridge, and campaigned for a Republican running for office, standing on that corner down there during the Black Lives Matter nonsense. And somebody made a false report to police that we had firearms out threatening people, and that wasn't the case. Although firearms are legal here to open carry or conceal without a permit. Many of us were carrying firearms, which are legal, but somebody was just making a false report. So the police showed up with sirens and lights, and the woman running for Congress was like, come on guys. Well, we had to come check it out. Yeah, okay, well, somebody's pulling your chain. False reports should be a serious crime. We also went down to that park down there that has old fighter jet. It's got a tank, military equipment, and artillery, which has since been repaired from the flood we had that I told you about. In my video, you can see the flood damage from February last year. It's definitely should still be in my playlist. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk up and walk down part of Lisbon Street for the finishing part of this walk. Cut across here. You can see they're doing some kind of construction. But when July 4th that they canceled the fireworks in 2020, we came down here and just waved the US flag with a megaphone. Hi. And we came down here with a megaphone and flags to be patriotic and shout patriotic messages. And a few times while we were doing that, these young people in vehicles would drive by and all scream, "Black Lives Matter, you fucking racists!" And we were just out there celebrating the 4th of July, Independence Day. And it had nothing to do with any of that. We weren't there promoting any kind of message like that. So this is the Bates Mill complex, and you can see there's broken windows. People threw rocks through. And this was a very huge money pit for the Lewiston, city of Lewiston. They've invested millions in the Bates Mill project. It's never really come to fruition to be anything. It does have some businesses in it that I guess do okay, but they never made the money they wanted to make. And after they purchased this property, they decided to renovate it, and guess what? They found out these rooftops built in the late 1700s, early 1800s were unsafe. So that had to all be repaired. They had to put new roofs on it. It cost millions of dollars. They had to spend it, all tax dollars, or bonds, or investments. So I wanted to come down here because I wanted to check out the statue of Muhammad Ali. This is the infamous Sonny Liston fight with the Phantom Punch that happened in Lewiston here in 1968 or 9, or was it 66? I forget the year. I don't know why 68 sticks in my head. Maybe wrong on the date, but whatever. And that is Muhammad Ali. A statue commemorating that. And it's actually pretty nice. So that was a pretty nice job on that. Let's see what they did with Muhammad Ali's backside. All right, he's looking down at the person he just clubbed, knocked him out, Sonny Liston. So anyway, how cool is that? So that is the Muhammad Ali statue that they put up not long ago, actually. It was the anniversary. So if it was an anniversary, it was either a 5 anniversary or a full decade anniversary. So maybe it was 1965. 65. Sounds familiar. I know it was in the mid-60s. So there used to be a diner built hanging out over the canal here. And there used to be like a regular guardrail. And some girl that wasn't used to driving turned a corner and she missed her turn. And she hit a fence that was here, and she went right through the fence into the canal and she drowned. She died. She was a teenager. So that's when they put this up, a stronger barrier and a guardrail where you can no longer do that. So you can see they also put guardrails up across over there too. We got a helicopter over there. Probably filming something. Probably shooting a promotional video of some sort. A little dog with his head out the window. So we're going to go across here, and that brick building right there with that HH sign outside, That used to be the Empire Theater, and my mom took me to see the Towering Inferno there when that came out. Was that 1974? I was a young kid. So we're going to walk down this way. That building right there used to be the LL Bean Distribution Center. I think it has moved. And before that, many years ago when I was a kid, there used to be Peck's department store, where you had different floors in there with an elevator, like the old department stores, and you used to be able to go down there and fish for toys at Christmas time. They'd have Santa Claus down there. Hi, Chief. How are you? So this is Lisbon Street, and when I was a kid, this had a record store, department stores. It was thriving, and now they get a recording studio down here. Medical marijuana again. You have two medical marijuana places on the same street, probably more than that. So, what else we got down here? The Newbury. The Newbury. We have Senator Susan Collins' office down here, which we're going to walk by in a minute. This is also the courthouse down here, District Court. Thankfully, I've never been in this building. One of these windows here says Susan Collins on it. Yeah, I don't see it anymore. What'd she do, run away? She may have run away. She may have finally realized that maybe she shouldn't be down here. Well, that's interesting. I don't know where the hell it went. Well, she must have moved. Probably too much crime down here. Got signs, absolutely no firearms, because it's a courthouse. Firearms are legal here for everybody that's legally able to own one. Interesting walk today, I think. We'll walk down this way and wrap things up. Now, there used to be a couple of arcades. My first real guitar I bought was a Gibson SG. I was 14 years old. Worked all summer at $3.25 an hour to pay for it, but this is where I bought it, used for $400. It used to be Music Works. In 1980, I want to say 82. 1982. So there used to be arcades down here. Used to be the Party Shop. That's one I liked. Berman and Simmons. I think Jared Golden's office down here, Congressman. I think he's down here somewhere. I'm gonna cut across here. Used to be a bank here where it says Durago Support Professionals. It used to be a bank. I remember that. forage market. Used to be a furniture store down here, Arthurton's Furniture. There used to be all kinds of stuff. Personal injury lawyers down here. Family planning. Attorneys. Neuromuscular rehabilitation. That's a mouthful. Jared Golden right here. Congressional 2nd District. Jared Golden, who's going to lose his damn seat to Paula Page. So Susan Collins' office is gone. That's interesting. We got a fabric store across the street. Head on down this way. Now this right here used to be the party shop. Used to play pinball, pool, arcade games, Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man. Now we're gonna enter kind of a seedy part of town. I will not be staying here very long. Community acupuncture. Kind of a little Somalia down here. Mogadishu Business Center. So this food store. This used to be Maroy's restaurant. Now we got another restaurant here. So this is basically Little Somalia. So this is all migrants down here. Good food. So we're going to hang a right. Head on down this way. This is our old stomping grounds. Used to come down here when we were kids, riding our bikes through these alleys. We've gone down through here plenty of times. We'll go all the way down this way. And this canal over here is the one where once a year they drain the water in it, and we would go down there and we would pick up a whole bunch of empty bottles that people threw over the edge while walking by, and we filled up a couple of shopping carts with bottles that we used for pinball money. So this is the kind of thing I was telling you about, that the salt causes damage on cement. You can see it's been repaired, but the salt dissolves the concrete. And this is another bridge we used to climb over and walk over the top. So you can see these columns here that they repaired. Causes a lot of damage. You can see the bottom part of that one right there starting to chip away. So that's our walk for today. We'll head on back. Action screen printing, still there. Print t-shirts and stuff. guy that sang in local heavy metal bands. His dad owned that. I assume he owns it now. So if you need t-shirts made in the Lewiston Auburn area, go to Action Screen Printing. And I got some cool businesses in here. They did a good job renovating all of this because this looked pretty run down 20 years ago. So it looks nice. Got a nice parking garage they built. I do like how that looks. Has kind of an old, almost kind of an old ballpark kind of look. Sort of, I guess. That green kind of looks like something you'd see outside Fenway Park. Kind of nice. Now this brick building on the corner used to be the Pine Tree Warriors Marching Band, which my younger brother and I belonged to for a short spell. Really did not enjoy that, I have to admit. I did enjoy traveling to different places to be in parades. So now we're going to head back. I'll say my sayonaras. We've done a big circle. Hope you enjoyed today's walk. I don't know how far I walked. I didn't have my app on. I forgot to start it. And you can't start it late because then you just don't get an accurate. So I'm going to edit one in there, my best guess. I know it's at least 5 miles. That's what my body's telling me. And I'll double check that with Google Maps. And I can hear my voice reflecting off that brick wall. That's kind of cool. So we're going to head down here and head on back to the ranch. And I hope you can turn us around. Hope you enjoyed walking today. And so we got a partial selfie stream, but to be honest with you, on my regular routes that you see all the time, I'm sure you don't mind when I do selfies, but today there's a lot of stuff that I don't record very often and some for the first time, and I'm sure you don't want to see my face. So here's my face at the end of the video. I am sweaty. It's getting warm out again after being about 70 degrees yesterday. It's definitely warmer than that today. So anyway, say a prayer for President Trump and America. God bless you and your family. Thank you for walking with me today. Click like and subscribe, share the content, and be happy. Be happy. We have a wonderful president. He's doing a great job. So I love you guys very much, and we will see you on the next walk, because we have a helicopter going overhead. Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks for being here today, and be safe out there. Take care of yourselves and family and friends, and watch out for your neighbors. Bye-bye. See you on the next walk. Thank you for walking with J.Beau.